Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to the fifth episode of Flutter Weekly Widgets. And guys, so first of all, sorry for the delays in the video because I'm not at home these days. I'm somewhere outside, and because I have other works as well, so sometimes it's not possible to make videos. But yeah, I'm back again with another video, and in this video we will talk about one more widget. So there are kind of many widgets which are dependent on that widget. And suppose if you're making any data related application where a lot of data is available to you, so maybe you are making something for e-commerce or anything where you have to present that data in the form of tables, which probably you must have used or seen in any web applications where there are tables where your data is available in columns and rows. So if you want to do the similar thing in Flutter or like in Android or in iOS, then material design gives you something which is called a data table. So in this video, this is the episode 5, and we are going to talk about the data table widgets. Okay, so as you can see, there is nothing much here. So in the main.dart, I am just calling episode 5 class in the home property, and there is a class which is episode 5, and that extends a stateful widget. And I'm not going to explain all these things. If you want to know about these things, then you have to watch my other videos which might be helpful for you. So in this episode 5 state class, we have a scaffold, and in the scaffold we have an app bar where we have this text episode 5, and that is data table. And below that we have also a class which is a name class, which takes a first name and a last name. And then we have some names, Pawan Kumar, Akash Tiwari, Rohan Singh. So these are some names, 3 names with their first name and last name. So we are going to use this data, that is why I am just showing you. So let's come to the body part where we have to use our data table. So suppose I want to show this names data in a data table where the column 1 will be the first name and the column 2 will be the last name. Okay, so how I can do that? So this is a very simple example, but in your case there can be a lot of data, even which is like more than the screen can cover. So for that also we have another widget, or you can also use this widget. So I'll tell you why this won't be a good choice for those kind of scenario when your data is larger than your mobile's screen or your tablet screen. Okay, so let's just talk about the data table right now. So here in the body, what I am doing, I have a container. I guess the font is fine, otherwise I can increase it as well. So let's just make it 20, and it should be good now. Yeah, so we have the body, and in the body we have this container, and as you know, container will take a child, and we can say body data. Okay, in the child. Now we need to make this body data, so I am going to make a widget here which is a body data widget. Okay, and it will return something. So what it is going to return, it is totally on me, and I am going to return a data table widget here. Okay, now it will probably give me an error because this data table has some properties which are required. Okay, so first let's see what kind of properties it has. Okay, so one is the columns, where it takes a list of data columns, which is another widget. Data column is a widget. And then it takes rows. These both are, I guess, compulsory ones, and this rows actually takes a list of data rows. Okay, excluding the header one, which is the column headings, which we will provide in the data column. And then we have this on select all properties, when if we select all the rows of our data table. And then we have something called sort ascending. It is by default, I guess, true. And whether if you want your column first of all, let's talk about this short column index, where you will define which of your column will be available for sorting. Okay, so I suppose if I specify 0 here, that means my 0th column will have the sorting functionality. Okay, either ascending or descending, whatever you want. Okay, so this is something. Now let's have some columns first of all, so that we can have some data here. So what we can say a data column we want here, a list of data columns, and first data column we will have, and now this data column is again a widget. Okay, so it will also take some properties. So it is saying first one is the label, where you will provide your heading of that particular column, and it also takes a widget. So if you want to give an icon, you can give it. Then it is asking whether it is numeric or not. So if it has some numeric data, then it will align that data accordingly. So that is why you have to specify if it is numeric or not. Then it has this method which is onSort. So if onSort will be called, then how you want to handle. So when the person will click on the sorting button, or how I will show you how he can click it. So when the user will want to sort the table for this particular column, then this method will be called. And then we have a tooltip, which is like if you want to define your header, what it does, then you can do here. Okay, so let's just start with an example. So in the label, what we can say in the text that it will display the first name. Okay, that is fine. Then we have numeric, which is, let's say, false, it is not numeric. And on sort, it will take an index, of course, and it will take a boolean as well. Okay, and let's just not do anything here for the time being. And in the tooltip, we can say to display first name of the name. Okay, so this is kind of a you can say bigger tooltip, but try to reduce this. Okay, so this is what we have. Now let me just refresh it. Okay, nothing actually happened because we need to specify some rows as well. Okay, so we have the data column. Now we have just one column as of now, and now let's have one rows, or in the rows we can also leave it blank. So for the time being, I am going to leave it blank, and yeah, so this is a blank list of rows, and you can see we have this first name column here. Okay, and because our data row is blank, so nothing is actually in the rows. And as you can also see, we have some kind of divider. Let me just zoom it a little bit. We already have a divider and everything, which this data table widget provides us, so we don't have to organize it. Like if we don't have to add dividers and everything, it will be done by this data table widget, and it is still in improvement phase, so some more things will be added to this widget as far as I know. Okay, so we have this first name. Now let's see if the numeric would be true, then what will happen. You can see it will adjust itself little bit. So if it is string, it will start from the you can say left hand side, and if it is a numeric, then it will start from I guess right hand side. Okay, so this is the difference. And there is also on sort, which is for which is not something which I have implemented yet, but it takes an integer and a boolean. Okay, we'll see that. And this is a tooltip which you can get when you will, if you will long click on this first name. So you can see to display first name of the name, and it will come if you will click. It is like a toast which comes when we long click on something. Okay, so this is our first column. Similarly, we can have our second column as well. Okay, and we can just call it last name, and we can just say to display last name of the name. And now we have first name and a last name. Okay, and this is looking good. Now let's just long click, and yeah, this is working fine. So these are the data columns. Now we will have some data rows. Okay, so we have a class where we have some items, so let's just enter some hard coded data row here just to understand. So let's add one data row. Okay, now this data row is also a widget and it takes something called cells. Okay, so there will be some data cells, okay, to fill the data in these rows. Okay, so rows are basically the horizontal things and the columns are vertical ones. And so these cells which we need to specify should be equal to the number of columns, otherwise you cannot show the data properly. So these cells should be equal to columns, number of columns should be equal to number of cells, or vice versa. Okay, so this is how we can do it. Okay, and there are some more properties like on select changed and if it is selected or not. Okay, so let's have some cells first of all. So again it will take a list of data cells, so we can say data cell, and you can skip this part if you want, then you can just delete this part as well, but I just like it, that is why I am using it. Now it will take a data cell, of course, and now this data cells again take some properties. So first one, it is a child, so it will take a child, so we can pass a text here. Let's say I want to pass my name Pawan, okay, in the first column, for the first column. So as I told you that data cell should be equal to the number of columns, so this is the first data cell for first column, which is first name, and the data cell is Pawan. Okay, let's have one more data cell because otherwise you will see this red screen only. So second one, let's say last name, which is Kumar, and now you can see we have this row which is basically this Pawan Kumar row, and we have two data cells which is equal to the number of columns. So number of columns are 2, first name and last name, so data cell is 2, Pawan and Kumar. Okay, and yeah, now this data cell has one more property or two more. First, if it is a placeholder, suppose if this is not the data, this is just a placeholder, then what you need to do, you can just say here placeholder is equal to true, then it will dim itself and it will show like this is a placeholder. Okay, data has to be inserted here, but this kind of data will be here. Okay, so let's say if it is name, or I can just say first name again, so that means it is saying first name would be here. Okay, it is just a placeholder, but it is not a placeholder as of now, so let me just remove this part, or we can make it false. There is also one more thing which is show edit icon. Okay, so if you want to show edit icon, if you want the user to change this particular field, then you can use this property, and then if you want to change something, then you can also implement this on tap method. Okay, so this is kind of a callback which will be called when you will press this cell. Okay, so right now we don't have anything to do, so let's just remove this part as well. And just for the understanding, I am doing one thing, which is I'm making them false. Okay, so so this is the basic idea. Similarly, you can have many data rows, so let me just copy this data row. Okay, and let me just paste it, and I can now change something to Sachin, and there I can say Tendulkar maybe. Okay, so this is how you can use this data cell and data row. Now what I am going to do, I am just deleting all this part and I am going to replace it. Okay, let me just replace it with my names, which I already have, because you won't have the hard coded data every time if you are making real world apps. So data will be something like this, which will be a class, and then it would be coming. So what I am going to do, I am going to use names. Okay, now I'll map that data, so it will give me a name. Okay, and then I can say as a to list I want to represent it. Now inside this name, okay, what I want to do, I want to display a data row for all these names. Okay, so I can say a data row, I want a data row. Now it will have two cells, so I can say two cells. Okay, fine. So first will be a data cell, where I have a child, where in the text I will show name dot first name. Okay, so this will be our first data cell. Okay, and show edit icon is equal to, let's say, false, placeholder is equal to also false. Okay, so this is our first data cell, and we will have two data cells that is fixed. So that is why and in the second one I can change name dot first name to name dot last name. And now if you will see, this is my data. Okay, Akash Tiwari, Pavan Kumar, Rohan Taneja. This is the data I have, and should be Rohan Sen. Okay, why it is showing Rohan Taneja? And Rohan Taneja is my friend, so just mentioning him, just a shout out to him. Akash Tiwari is also my friend. Okay, so what I can do now, let me just do a fresh restart, hot restart, and then it will be changed. Yeah, so Pavan Kumar, Akash Tiwari, Rohan Singh, these are the three names which are coming, first name and last name, and that is fine. Okay, so this is how you will represent the data in the data table, and that is fine. Everything is working. Now let me just introduce some more things, and this is how you will add more columns and more rows and more data cells. Just make sure that data cells equal to the number of columns. Okay, and now let me just show you more things about it. Let's say in this data table we had some more properties. What were they? On select all, if you select everything, but right now you would be thinking that there is nothing to select. Okay, so there is already a checkbox which will be enabled if you will go to your data row. Okay, let me just show you how, and let's just do this. Okay, so this is our data row. Here we have something called on selected changed. Okay, and selected. So if your row is selected, then if you can make it true, then your data row all are selected, right? So this is for selecting. So because we are using this map, so it is selecting every data, but this won't be the situation. So, and one more thing is on selected changed. Suppose you select or unselect something, then it should give a boolean, which is, let's say, B, and now you will see the checkbox to every row and also the column. So this columns checkbox is to select all, and these rows checkbox are to select a particular row. So this is you can implement. I'm not going to implement this right now because I don't have that much idea what to do with this selection. So it's just to demonstrate. Okay, and maybe if you don't understand, then you can always comment, then I will probably make a video if you face some challenges with this. Okay, so this is how you can find this checkbox, which is by default disabled, but if you perform any selection change, then obviously you need that checkbox and then it will be enabled. Okay, so you can ignore that as of now. Every data column has all these properties which we already used, so yeah, we don't have anything else. But in the data table there is two more things. So first one is on select all, which I just show you that there is also a checkbox for column, and when you will select that, then this method will be called, where you will have again a boolean value, and you can perform something with that if it is true or false. Okay, and then we have something called sort column index. Suppose I want to sort the first name. Okay, then I can say the sort column index is 0, because my 0th column is you can see the 0th column is first name, and I want to sort it according to my first name. Okay, I want to sort the data, so you can use this. Okay, otherwise if you say, let's say if you want to sort the data based on the last name, then you can say 1. Okay, so then you can see this arrow signature, which is the down arrow or up arrow. Both arrows are available depending if you want to do ascending or descending. So right now you can see that if you want to change this last name, then you can do like using the column index as 1. Okay, so I am just going to use 0 because I will sort the first name. Now it has one more property, which is if it is sort ascending or descending. Okay, so I want to do sort ascending, so let's make it true. Then okay, so this is the default arrow, and if it is false, then you will see the arrow will change. Okay, so this is the purpose, but because we want to do the sorting ascending, So that is what we are doing. Okay, now if you have seen, then there is on sort property with every data column. So now if I want to sort this particular first name column, then I have an index, okay, and I have a boolean value. Okay, so I'm not going to use it, so this I will give me 0 because this is the first column, and this B will give me whether it is true or not. So let me just do one thing, let me just print these values so that you can understand what they are doing. Okay, when we click on it, and let's just click on it. So let me just open the terminal here, and now debug console. Now let's click on it, and you can see 0 and false. So 0 means this is the 0th column, and let me just also print the same here as well. Okay, and now let's click on this, and 1 and true. Okay, so right now it is saying that that particular portion I clicked on it, so the column was 0th column, and the boolean value which is false right now. Okay, so we need to change it manually. Okay, so that's totally to give us the idea what's happening. Okay, if I will click on it again, then you can see every time I can see 0 and false. Now let's just sort our table. Okay, so I want to sort our names on the basis of first name. So names dot, okay, what I can do, I can use this property sort. Okay, it will take two parameters a comma b for the first and second value, and then I can say a dot first name, okay, dot compare to, and then I can provide b dot first name. So that part basically means I want to compare the first value's first name to second value's first name. Okay, and let me just do it, and now if I will click on it, you will see 0 false again. Why? Nothing happened? Oh, why nothing happened? So it should sort. Okay, let me just try again. Okay, so let me just sort ascending to true. What's happening? Don't understand. Okay, sorry. So what we need to do, we also need to do set state. Okay, so that we can see those changes. So let me just press it, and now you can see set state is called and data is sorted. Okay, and let's try it again, and rather than first name I can make it 1, and yeah, and now let's just change the last name. If I will, oh sorry, it should be similar to this, but if we click on this, then for this data column I want to sort the last name according to last name. Okay, so now as you can see this is not sorted, and let me just also use set state here, otherwise it won't be sorted again. Okay, so now if I will click on this last name column, then it should sort according to the last name. Okay, so let me just click it, and you can see KST. So this is sorted again. So, and now if I click on it, it will be sorted. If I click, so you can see both is working fine, and now it is, you can see 0 comma true, which means that it is already sorted, and if it is not, then you can see. Okay, so this is how you can use these properties. And as I told you that this data table can be expensive because you have to measure the rows and columns, and then you have to insert the data. So this is a two-time process, so that is why they are expensive. So to avoid that, you can use also paginated data table, which will provide you a header, and in that header you can insert the header, then how many rows per page you want and everything. So I'm not going to cover that in this video, but if you did enjoy this video, then please let me know, then I can cover that video as well in future videos. And how's your experience with the Flutter weekly widgets, please let me know. And the source code will be available on my GitHub repository, which the link will be provided in the description. Also make sure to check Let's Flutter Facebook group, where you can ask your question, because YouTube is not a good platform to ask questions. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're not the subscriber, and do like the video. Thank you guys, bye bye, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.